So we've looked at briefly the organizational culture uh, as um, as one of the major sub factor within organizational factors. The next factor within organizational factors is organizational structure. So organizational structure may also influence the extent of ethical decision making that organizations do. Okay, so when we talk about organizational structure, there are basically the most common way, the most basic way of looking at organization structure is whether an organization is a centralized organization or a decentralized organization, and whether or not they are centralized or decentralized will influence the extent to which they will act ethically or less ethically. Um, in a centralized organization, decision-making authority is concentrated in the hands of top-level managers, and there are little authority is delegated to lower levels. Okay, so in centralized organization, decision-making is centralized on the hands of top managers. It is suited. The centralized organization is suited to organizations that make high-risk decisions and have lower-level managers not highly skilled in decision making. It typically have little upward communication. So usually centralized organization have little upward communication, and there is strict formalization. Um, with strict formalization, in certain circumstances, centralized organization may be ethical than decentralized organizations because of the strict formalization. Decentralized organizations, on the other hand, their decision-making authority is delegated as far down the chain of command as possible. So lower level managers are given responsibility to make decisions rather than holding the decision-making only at the top level. The flow of information is in both directions within a decentralized organization. Managers can react more quickly to changes. So one of the advantages of decentralized organization is that managers can react more quickly if there are any changes to their circumstances, to the industry environment. And these are a summary of the differences between centralized and decentralized organizations. In terms of hierarchy of authority, the centralized is called centralized, and decentralized is decentralized. Flexibility, centralized organization has low flexibility, but decentralized has high flexibility. Centralized have low adaptability and low program recognition, but decentralized companies have high adaptability and high problem recognition. Okay, and there are other differences as well. Other worth other aspects worth noting is the division of labor. In centralized, every employee has a very clear-cut or well-defined scope of job, but in decentralized, the division of labor is more ambiguous. The scope of job, the definition of job scope is rather vague. Okay, there's no clear-cut exclusivity to the job specification. So there will be differences in terms of ethical practices within a centralized versus a decentralized companies. The next factors within organizational factor, the next sub-factor within organizational factor is group dimensions. Okay, group dimensions of organizational structure and culture. Okay, so within an organization, there will be formal groups and informal groups. Okay, there will be formal groups and informal groups. So groups are important because when employees work in a group, either formally or informally, then the their ethical decisions will be very much influenced by their group. Okay, so groups are important aspects to ethical decision making. So first is the formal group. Formal group is an assembly of individuals with an organized structure that is explicitly accepted by the group. So terms that are usually used to that refers to formal groups includes committees. So sometimes a lot of times organizations form committees. Okay, so committees are formal groups of individuals assigned to a specific task. So you may have committees. And then you may have work groups. So some okay, work groups subdivide duties within specific functional areas of a company. So in work groups, usually the members of a work group comes from the same division, but the division is subdivided into work groups. And then there are teams. So teams usually bring together the expertise of employees from several different areas of the organization on a specific task, usually projects. So these are examples of formal groups. And then there are informal groups. Informal groups are two or more individuals with a common interest but without an explicit organizational structure. And they have an informal channel of communication among them, which is sometimes referred to as grapevine. Okay, so an example of informal group is that when some of the employees share similar interests outside of the organization, such as some employees, they like to play some games together. Okay, so they outside of the office hour, they will gather among them to go arrange for some sporting events among themselves without the intervention of the company. So they form an informal group, and um, because they are very closely knit together outside of the organization, when they work, their decision making, their ethical decision making, will also be influenced by each other. Okay, this is some of the differences between team versus groups. In a team, the leader acts as a facilitator. In a group, the leader dominates and controls the group. In the team, the members have active participation in the discussion and eventual outcome, whereas in the group, the leader is apparent and will conduct the meeting. In a team, the team members decide on the disbursements of work assignments, and in group, the leader usually assigns work to the members. So the group, usually a group will have a leader dominating most of the coordination, but in teams, they work more or as peers, and among them they will elect one as a leader, but the extent of power authority is more of team based decision making. Okay, so when employees work in a group or in a team, then they are influenced by group norms. Group norms is the standards of behavior groups expect of their members. It helps define acceptable and unacceptable behavior. It defines the limit allowed on deviations from group expectations. It provides the group norms provide explicit ethical directions. They can relate directly to managerial decisions. Group norms have the power to enforce a strong degree of conformity among group members and can define the different roles for various positions within the organizations. So group norms have a very strong influence on how group members act.